So my name is Vitaliy, owner of ARC Heating and Air Conditioning. Started not so long ago, it'll be almost a year soon. I was introduced to this group by Bob. Thank you, Bob. Great guy. Just kind of to go over a few things, as far as the HVAC. What do we do, what the HVAC is, and so maybe that we all understand a little bit better, what we're dealing with. It's a business dealing with air, refrigerant, electricity. None of those things you see, right? So, but it sucks when it doesn't work. Not very comfortable. A few things, just to go over this as far as who we are. I know that guy. Basically, pretty much at this point, it's just me running the business since we just started, so I did not hire any full-time employees. I have a helper, but mostly it's just me. I've been in business with names that you recognize here, Bonnie, Bell, all of those names that start with B, for a long time, made to management, and then decided that that's just not going anywhere. I wanted something different. I always wanted to run something on my own. And last year, just kind of left the company and started my thing. Really quick, about different types of HVAC. We know that it's here and we know that it works, but where is it, what kind of it is, and all that kind of stuff. They come in different shapes and different types and kinds. This is called a package unit. You've probably seen them on the roofs of people, right? Most of the time, some of them are on the ground by the house. It's called a package unit because it contains everything inside. In that, the heating is in there, the air conditioning is in there, everything is in. The next one is, it's called a split. It's a part of the split system. Most of you that have newer homes will have them either in the attic most of the times. Sometimes it's in the garage, sometimes it's in the closet, if the home's a little bit older. But it's called a split because it comes into usually different halves, two halves. This is our furnace right here. And there's a part of the air conditioning, so I took this picture, it's pretty dark in there, I guess. Of course, it has the second half, right? So that's usually the unit outside. You see that sitting next to your house, makes noise, nobody likes it, except that some of the newer units are a little bit quieter. This unit got installed like 2 weeks ago in Roseville. There's a different type of air conditioning. It becomes very popular nowadays. I spoke with a Mitsubishi representative here in town, and they said that they tripled the sales in Bay Area since COVID, or starting COVID time. Part of it because it's much more efficient, those big bulky units that we used to having in our houses. Uses a little bit different technology called an inverter technology. So they're more efficient. The difference between them is that they're ductless. They do not have ducts attached to them. So, and they do have that little thingy up there on the wall somewhere that's blowing cold air, warm air, and all that kind of stuff. And part of the efficiency increase on that is because there's no ductwork, so there's no resistance for the air to be pushed through. It just comes through the pipes and comes out here. Different unit, not for every application, but it's kind of a cool new technology, new system. Of course, the window shaker. This has actually been updated. You can see it's a little different. I don't know why the picture's so skewed. Maybe because I'm looking from the angle. But those units are still out there. I've seen houses that still have them. I've been called out not so long ago, to come and fix my air conditioner to find out it's a window unit. I'm like, how about we just pull this one out and put a new one in? It's only a few $100s in Home Depot. Anyways, just a quick thing, like how the air flows in the system. This house here, the two-story home, has two systems like we talked about. The one that's a split, a horizontal, right? They come in different positions and different stuff. Usually the air comes in through your filter, goes through your system, gets heated or cooled, and comes out on the other end in every room through all the registers that you have in the house. This one is the same thing, just different, positioning. And very important to make sure that your filters are clean. That's big part of the efficiency. I've been to homes that people moved in from Bay Area, not saying anything. They don't have air conditioning there, and they don't even think about this stuff.
That's right.
And, oh, where's your filter? what filter, right? And you go in there and that filter is just like, throw it away. And, or it's somewhere already inside of the system, collapsed, broken up and sucked in, you know, and oh, your system's not working, well, no wonder. You know, so very important, filters need to be, you know, replaced 2 to 3 months, you know, depending on the house. Depending on the house. Some homes, newer homes that are tighter, don't have a lot of pets, don't have a lot of, you know, dust or something. Filters are up in the ceiling, so you're not going to get as much dust. I've seen people go for half a year, no problem, right? Just changing it once a season, as season changes. But if your filter is down below towards the floor, and especially if you have pets, you better look at your filter every couple of weeks. I mean, a couple of months. Yeah, I've seen people that 1 month is too long. 1 month is too long, sometimes. Also depends on the filter too, right? That said, guys, if you have a question or something, you know, just feel free to ask.
Okay,
Yes.
so I was changing a hot heater filter for the whole house yesterday. Well, not yesterday, but yeah, they had this mesh thing, and I thought, ew, I'm not gonna wash that again. So I just went online and ordered a disposable one. I guess a meshy thing. It's again, oh.
On something like this, you know, it could be one-on-one type of thing. You know, if you're concerned, you have my phone number. Shoot me a picture, and I can help you. You know, direct.
Suggested this.
Yeah. If it looks weird, because it probably is. You know, maybe it's something that needs to be scratched and, you know, started. But yeah, shoot me a message and we'll go over that. Really quick, electrification in California now. This is what is a heat pump, right? Heat pumps, very hot topic nowadays. We've been pretty much pushed into electrifying our cities and homes and everything else. And there are rebates to switch to the heat pumps. There are incentives and all kinds of other things. And yes, Hans?
The heat pump water heaters are now $3,800 rebate up front, and then $2,000 on tax credits.
Yeah. So the heat pumps.
Straight answers with my suppliers, but what the heck?
Yeah. So the heat pumps are becoming very, very popular, and they're in demand because of those rebates and everything. This is how they get us to switch over, right? What happens with the heat pump, and there's no gas, right? They're trying to get rid of the fossil fuels. So there's no gas in the system to heat your house. And that has been always very good, very efficient, or I should say, very comfortable, right? Because gas furnaces blow pretty hot air, and when it's cold outside, you walk in and it warms up the house really quick. So, you know, it doesn't take a long time. But let me ask you this question. When you come home in the summertime and it's hot outside, you turn on your air conditioner. Do you expect that your house will cool off in 10 minutes? You will feel the difference when it's hot outside.
Of course.
That's just a hope.
Now, a lot of the times, people switching over to heat pump don't understand that, oh, I remember my gas furnace doing this 10 minutes and takes the chill off the house, right? Heat pumps don't do that. Think of the heat pumps as the air conditioner in a hot summer day. Okay? Because all it does is the same thing as the air conditioner, except in reverse. So let me ask you this. What do you guys think that we do in the home to keep it comfortable? Like, how does the air conditioner, what's the magic? How is it all of a sudden, you know, you come in and it's...
Pumps in cold air.
Pumps in cold air, okay. Any other options?
It circulates the air that's in your home already.
Yes. True. True. What if I say that we don't air condition our spaces? Let's say more of a, almost like more important topic here in California or in Sacramento is cooling in the summer, right? Heating, people kind of like, yeah, I mean, I can handle a little bit of cold and stuff, but no one can handle hot summers here without air conditioning, right? But what if I say that we don't air condition our spaces and the cold air that's coming out of our vents in the summer to cool our houses off? It's just a side effect. Really what we do in the summertime, we're not cooling our homes, we're removing heat from our homes. Is there such thing as cold?
No, there is.
Physics?
Lack of heat.
Absence of heat is cold, right? So what we're doing is, in the summertime, to keep our houses cool, we have to remove heat away from the house, inside of the house. And what happens? We put it in the unit outside, and that magic happens through refrigeration. So the way refrigerant acts is a chemical fluid, liquid.
2 minutes.
Oh God. Okay, so the way how that happens is basically it absorbs the heat inside the house. When it's going through its coils, through its motions, we're not going to get into the details. But as the fan, the circulation happens inside the house and the air is going through your vents and through your system. The warm air from the inside of the house gets absorbs the heat into the refrigeration of the system. That carries it outside, and through the radiators and the fan and everything in the unit outside gets rejected into the atmosphere. So the heat that was just in the house goes outside, gets dumped outside. Therefore, there's less and less heat in the house as the unit runs, and it feels cooler. So we're not air conditioning, we're removing heat from the house, therefore it feels cooler to our bodies. Now, in the wintertime, heat pump mode, right, if you think about it, what we're doing, we're actually doing the opposite. Well, on a 30-degree day, is there a lot of heat outside? That's why the old heat pumps sucked. New inverter heat pumps that are out now, they're a lot more efficient in doing the processing of that heat. Believe it or not, there's still heat in the air outside. There's not a lot of it, but there's still heat. That's why heat pumps are pretty good until like 40, upper 30s, like degrees. After that, they need some supplemental heats, and it's usually auxiliary, like electrical heaters inside and all that kind of stuff. But what it's doing in the wintertime, it will absorb the heat from the outside, because refrigerant works at the different temperatures, way lower. So for it doesn't have to have a lot of heat that we feel outside, but still finds it in there. So it absorbs the heat outside and brings it inside and dumps it into this. So just the same as the air conditioner, but opposite, right? Now, system deficiencies, dirty coils, that builds up inside of the system because of the filtration or other things, leaks, dirty blower wheels, bad ducting that's ripping apart and allowing air to flow out of it. Again, ducting that has gaps, that air just blows nice in the attic, and you don't know that unless you actually have it inspected. This is, by the way, I took all these pictures for myself. This is all real stuff. Big, huge gaps that you can put your hand through. And then the client's like, why is my bill $400? Or there's another one. Those registers that you have in the house, there's a hole in the drywall, and there's a metal duct box that comes where the air's flowing through, and you have this nice white register that's covering this whole thing, right? You can see kind of the outline. I took this out of the, in the house because per Title 24 in California, we're supposed to seal this. Just let me know when I'm gonna finish. We're supposed to seal this. So there's big gaping, gap all around this thing where the air just has the ability to escape, go up in the attic, come from the attic, and all those kind of things. People don't know about this stuff. This is, allows a lot of air to come in the house to the point where it even feels drafty. There are also older.
We just need to start wrapping up, but yeah,
Okay.
just finish up what you.
Yeah, so basically, there's sometimes we find cracks in the heat exchangers and even holes. Obviously, carbon monoxide, it's a potential for poisoning and different things. Doesn't really happen as far as the poisoning goes nowadays because of the way how furnaces are designed. But obviously, this is a big safety issue and concern and stuff like that. Now, service maintenance, I'm going to finish on this. I have a few more slides, but what we do is we come in, we actually do the cleaning, we take things apart, wash and clean and take care of the stuff, before and after, cleanings on that. We measure obviously everything and take care of different parts of the equipment, different units, and there's a lot more to that, but I guess I'm not going to go into that. So, any questions, just shoot me a message and we'll go from there.
I just wondered how often you suggest doing the service and maintenance? Like once a year?
If you listen to the manufacturer will say that you want to do this once a year, once for heating, once for cooling. If the maintenance is done right, a lot of the times, especially if you have good filtration and you have properly sealed ducting, like it's not sucking in dirt in the system, then it doesn't need to be as often. However, any professional in the industry will tell you once a year. But I would say like, you want to do it at least, you know, every couple years. Don't let it go too far because then you're going to be, you know, paying interest. Yeah.
Okay.
If they change the filter, sure as you not have tons of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the filter, yes, yeah, absolutely. But you know, if people just do the filter and never do any checks on the system,
Not good.
how do you know that you don't have those gaps and holes and stuff in the ductwork? Like you don't have any infiltrations that go into the equipment unless you actually do.
Do you specialize in service more or new replacement?
That's us, that's us, that's us, that's us. Anyways.
So new.
Oh,
So you do both.
yes.
Great. I have referrals for you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.